welcome back to HGC North America. We are, sorry, production called Dread Senior right at the end of that commercial break, and it wrecked me.
Sometimes I have that happen to me too, where the little guy in my head will just kind of, he'll throw out a line and I'll snicker at that, and I'm like, but they, you know, it's a little bit awkward. But
are you talking about your brain?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I think it's not my brain, but then it turns out to be my brain. So, you know.
Help.
Help.
You know who else needs help in this series? Maybe Roll20.
You know, yeah, they're gonna.
What's up with that? They just lost the last game. I actually have a statistic to throw out to you guys. That was Roll20's first game loss since July 15th when they lost a game to Tempo Storm.
It's been a long while since they have dropped a game. And you got to ask, does that mean, does it matter? Does it matter? Does dropping that game, not in terms of results, but morale for the members of Roll20? Because those kind of losses can be the easiest or the hardest to let go. It's sad to admit, but it really could be. Like, immediately, Goku was the beginning of the end, right? On bottom, going to commit to that call. Everyone could have been on board, but it's pretty easy to be like, Goku, if you could just stop messing around, that'd be great. We're trying to win the video game here and go ahead and end the series. It's just, I don't know. I feel like they all agreed to the call, but it does show that like they're going to have to clean things up. Roll20's got to get a little bit more controlled here versus Even in Death. And more importantly, Even in Death, I feel like they got to try a little bit more proactive. I know they won the last game, but they were only proactive once they weren't losing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They waited up until it was legitimately risky decision, risky decision, risky decision. Okay, now we can decide to be aggressive.
Well, honestly, Justin said that the only way that Even in Death gets a game win from them or a series win, any win versus them, is if they let up on the practice. And it has seemed like maybe not necessarily that they aren't practicing as much, but just that they maybe felt like they would be so dominant in this series that they wouldn't necessarily have to like be playing just as safely as they might be otherwise. They've been taking some risky decisions, and Even in Death have been punishing for them. So let's see where Game 3 will take place, and if Even in Death will still have the opportunity to exact that punishment. Roll20 losing the last game, chooses Battleground pick, and they're taking us to Dragonshire.
Taking us to Dragonshire, which is also a comfortable map for the members of Even in Death. Something they have to be rather thankful of. Not normally a map that the members of Roll20 stand out to overperform on. Other than the short window where all of North America appreciated Dragonshire, it does feel like now that they're willing to pick it, that it's going to happen again. Dragonshire's back. Surprise, it was just gone for one part, but it's here again. And I feel like that's got to be, Even in Death's got to be satisfied. Anytime that they find a map where it's like, we would have been willing to pick that against a formidable opponent like Roll20, it's a pretty big win.
I can just imagine that on the Ron wall of Justing's place where he lives, his residence, that he had a days since lost a game or games since we've lost, and now he has to tear the sheet off and mark it back down at 1. 13 games in a row in part 2. They made it all the way to week 3 before they lost a game.
Even in Death, banned out the Medivh. Roll20 responds with an ETC, not necessarily the most common of a ban, but one that I feel like is very understandable, leading to a high Even in Death Dahaka. Gotta be asking here, is that the most dominant there? Not so much because of the Dahaka pick and the value that he provides objectively, but more Roll20, number 1, Goku on Malthael is absolutely terrifying. Number 2, Glorong has already shown to venture a little bit more into the Falstad. If there's going to be a map that the Falstad and, you know, Malthael synergy gets picked up, it's into a Dahaka on Dragonshire. It's probably the best argument I can come up with in my head. Not in this rotation, but things to be looking forward to in the draft here for Even in Death, or maybe not forward, more so look out for.
So far for Roll20, the type of composition that they've run on Dragonshire is always Garrosh plus Uther, Chromie for the bottom, Zeratul for ganks, and then a global for the top. So at least the Dahaka takes away that global, but it still offers a Malthael, and Roll20 will be quick to pick that up as well as their Garrosh again.
We get the Garrosh in to accent their 4-man. I wonder if we'll get ourselves a Chromie if Even in Death don't pick it up for themselves. Even in Death, as you talked about, they have been some of the, you know, more bigger advocates in North America to bust out the Chromie when Chromie wasn't cool, when she wasn't at the top of the North American meta. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see it on a map like Dragonshire, but for now they hold off. They go with a Noob and Greymane. The Anub is, you know, with the ETC banned out, I feel like I can understand the high priority. It's just Anubarak has dropped rather significantly in priority before the secondary ban phase, and I'm struggling to see the argument here other than that ban.
Yeah, potentially it has a lot of value as an escape for Garrosh if he ends up being the one who's thrown. He has a lot of peels for his team, and potentially if Garrosh gets too far out of position, then they can punish with that. And then a Cocoon for Malthael and Tormented Souls. So more so reactionary, it feels like, for Even in Death, but Even in Death has shown that they want to be more reactionary in their drafting this part. And they're going to do that with another Chromie ban.
They ban out the Chromie, but we still have to have concern towards the false stat opportunities that Roll20 might move into at this rotation. If they don't here, they could wait it out. I will tell you all at home, Greymane was not picked or banned that many times. We just went rid of it real fast. There it is. False stat Greymane, or Rhaegar, not Greymane. Coming in. Pretty powerful. The gank potential up under the Dahaka. I feel like this is going to be a very, very, very common pattern in NA as this series, or for the rest of North America, with the Dahaka Malthael priority.
It does feel like Roll20 are less focused in having a hard follow-up crowd control to Garrosh now. We've already seen them be okay with getting Stukov, but now Uther was up. They could have taken Uther there, but instead took Rhaegar. Rhaegar does offer a lot for wave clear to help with that, and maybe because they don't have Chromie, they feel like they need to get the Rhaegar there, but it is interesting to see the evolution of Garrosh comps for Roll20.
I think that point that you just brought up, though, is a really huge argument behind why we see the Rhaegar picked up, is the wave clear problem. Yeah, Rhaegar is picked a little bit higher because we know that wave clear is going to be that much more dominant. We're going to get to the Nazebo in a moment. But that wave clear has been more and more high of a priority, and supports the only support left that has burst healing and also can do the wave clear is going to be Rhaegar. He has risen because of the nerfs going into his counterpart, which is Uther, and Ariel, who's counterpart but not in the same way, not throughout the burst heal. So I'm not surprised to see it picked up, but I feel like that was a lot of it, is their lack of wave clear, that they were concerned that, oh, this could be a major problem, because once they got the Falstad and the Dahaka Malthael matchup, they know they have a winning top lane. The only thing is to avoid a losing bottom lane, or bottom two, and you can assure that through the Rhaegar pick. So I think that's a lot of it, the idea behind it.
The Nazebo also functions with that too, not being able to have Chromie, put Roll20 getting Nazebo instead. But this is far more late game for Nazebo. Yes, he can hold on, he can stall out a lane with the zombie wall, but he's still going to be trying to build up into level 16, level 20 especially with his Voodoo Ritual and his Spider build. And we look at the other side and what Even in Death has drafted. They have a new Baraki and Tyrande, they have Malfurion, they have a lot of lockdown and follow-up damage, and they have a global of Dahaka to rotate in and get kills. This looks like a pretty good comp for Even in Death.
They have a lot of tools to be able to deal with the Nazebo across the board, and even at the later stages, the support of Malfurion is one of the better ones to deal with that dot output. So, yeah, it's just Even in Death has to be synergistic with the Tyrande effectively throughout the earlier stages. Also, even though Nazebo is considered a late-game power spike, he has a late game power spike, but unlike most characters with a very time sensitive overlay of like when they're really good, he doesn't have a really bad. He's decent the whole way through the game. He just gets really good at the later stages. So unlike the Tyrande, who struggles as the game moves on, it just feels like the Nazebo is a safer response to take the weakness of the Tyrande, but not have the problem of the early game. And it's also one of the best to just not die to Tyrande. He's got Ice Block, scaling HP on his own. Like he's the second most defensive range assassin behind Tychus.
And how he works with Malthael, we'll have to see about the damage from that, but they have Falstad too. So let's get into game 3 between Even in Death and Roll20 as we head to Dragonshire.
But I'm always down for some Nazebo. What is it?
What about Toad build Nazebo?
What about Toad build Nazebo? Not what I...
Pandemic. Oh, Prismaticism. It's been a little while since you've been able to pick Wingman, since you've been able to pick Pyroblast over Phoenix. We know that you were getting the itch to change up a meta for a talent tier in some regards, so it's okay that you've now brought in Pandemic and a Toad build. This has been run a few times in China.
You know how much burst that's going to have as this game moves on into whoever gets flipped
Toad's
into that? Toad's a hugeness into, more importantly, somebody who's stuck inside a zombie wall because Garrosh flipped you right inside of it. That is Nazebo's Huge Atonement, when it actually is effective, is one of the highest damage spells in the game. Maybe, like, it's not single target because it technically is the 5-toed AoE, but if all of them hit you, I mean, it's like a Hinterlands Blast. What are you?
You said Huge Atonement.
Oh. All right. That's a good one, the Huge Atonement.
I'm just imagining what toad, like the essence
What
of
is a toad?
toadness would be like. Warty, probably. All right, we've got shrines activating in a few. Man, I am so excited for Toad build. Like I said, it's been run a few times in China. Tiger on E-Star, before he was not on E-Star anymore, he loved running Toad build.
Tiger ran, it feels like a little bit of everything
Yeah, that's
in
true.
competitive history.
That's
He
a
has
good
played.
point.
He's played 4 roles. He
Yes.
has, in fact, played. I mean, he plays a little bit of everything. Buds got impaled. Pull back on a Lutano.
Look at
No
the zombie
flip
wall.
necessary. Zombie wall. That's first blood for Roll20. But yeah, Tiger he's been there, done that when it comes to competitive Heroes of the Storm. I'm not surprised he's the name that comes up when looking at Toad build Nazebo. But somehow Prismaticism being behind this all either is not too surprising.
No, Prismaticism is the NA Tiger. Except not in name, obviously. Tiger JK is NA Tiger, but as far as iterating on strange builds, making different builds, it definitely would be Prismaticism.
Battery's going to be the flip target this time. He ends up going down, but the brush talk in. Justing's first to fall. Drag doesn't land. Nubrak Impale finds Glarong. 2 kills for Even in Death. They aren't even doing it in the manner that you would expect. It's more Roll20's trying to go in and get fancy. They go drag. They've got the pole. They're like, I've done the math, the zombie wall. Okay, we've got this. But then everything beyond that is just everybody, you know, it's kind of like things worked out and everybody was like, guys, we didn't think about what we're supposed to do now.
Yeah,
and Even in Death just gets the kills.
Yeah, the punishment from Even in Death really good. Obviously, Roll20 were pretty far forward trying to get those kills. And Even in Death just try to get as much structural damage as they can do. They didn't immediately just try to rotate out and get the shrines. It's early. The cooldown timers, the respawn timers for Roll20 are going to be short. So instead of immediately hoping that they can use those respawn timers to get shrines, they try to take down some structures and make sure that they can continue whatever lead that they have if they were able to get a Dragon Knight later on.
And we've got ourselves Battery building full Boomkin there on the Malfurion, committing to full Moonfire at level 4. And I'm going to assume that he's going to focus into damage at 7, and we're going to have ourselves a ranged poking Malfurion. You give him this
just Battery on Malfurion. You said that and I had to stop myself. How did I
There's
not recognize that?
quite a few situations in this game right now that I'm going like, you know, that's a thing. We're experiencing that.
Well, it's got to be a product of Even in Death trying to change and make their role swaps, and how the main support player now playing Tyrande might have just been that he felt more comfortable on the hero while Battery is making the swap. But unfortunately, Tyrande has been lost, which does allow Roll20 some time to get back into the driver's seat of this game.
Justin constantly scouting out for that Battery. We're able to get the kill throughout mid. Juke attempt from Goku. Flight coming out from Glarong. Lutano's going to be the focus. He has disengaged, not within time. He goes down. Dragon Knight picked up for Roll20. Another game where Roll20 is just winning at multiple aspects of the game, both on the objective, both on top lane, both throughout mid. They're just making stuff happen.
They are. They have the Dragon Knight in the mid. They'll start to siege down those towers. They still have the Giant Camp in the bottom lane, and the towers have been drained of ammo. So it should be an easier place for the rest of the members to siege while still keeping Falstad in the top lane to keep up with the Dahaka. Now, this is the second time that we have seen a groundbreaker style of build for Justing over Unrivaled Strength. And what's so weird to me is this was the initial build that was proposed when I think there was a guide on our website, and I think it was JPL, proposed it because of the synergy with the 13 talent, the shield, and obviously having cooldown reduction as whenever you can keep pulling people in the way that Justing did just there. But then everyone switched over to Unrivaled Strength, which is what Justing initially played with, and now Justing's switching it back again to the Groundbreaker.
And into the phrase, the only reason that we see Justing and the members of Roll20 making it out there, real MVP is Justing. That was very well done from a Warriors perspective. He's kind of found his way into the support. But you are right. It is interesting that Justin, we make the joke of the hipster, but it feels like he's truly trying to fulfill it.
Yeah.
It's just to not be the same. Granted, I feel like he's probably got some thought process. What I think happened there was he came out with it. He didn't feel like the original build was necessarily most optimal. He goes through, he sees success. Everybody overreacts. They compensate for it. They go with his build, and then 20 scrims later, he's like, guys, actually, I think more often than not, this is the most forgiving direction to go. And he goes back to the old school #1.
And it could be just because he's against Tyrande and making sure that he has a shield as a way of giving him that extra support when Tyrande comes in with her Hunter's Mark and the reduction of his armor. I'll have to ask him about that one because it is interesting.
And we do see Battery committing to the Moonfire, but instead hindering Moonfire at level 7 rather than focusing on the Lunar Shower, I believe is the name. The Lunar Shower, which is more focused into the AoE damage across the board for the Malfurion. So it's just most of the time when you see the mana cost at level 4 being taken, that's with the assumption, hold up here, will Goku make this out?
I'm just thinking maybe just continue in, but Augustus forced. Sadly, this Toad build is...
It stopped, yeah. It was only one talent deep.
Stopped at 1.
And even then, you're at a point where it's just like, is it truly, are we going to see another Toad talent, or was that misclick? And it's like, is this just like a, we've done the math, we've ran the numbers, and eventually it's more mathematically, you know, profitable to take a different talent?
Prismaticism, speaking of her Nazeebo, gets low, but Ancestral Healing keeps him healed up. Starfall slowing the onslaught of Roll20, but it's not enough to keep from a new Barak falling. Drag pulls in Prismaticism. There is no fort here, so the chase continues. Lots of spiders ticking away. Buds comes in along with Goku, and they take down Dahaka.
Oh man, Battery, last man down. Falstead should still have a flight, and if not, it's coming up in a couple of seconds. Expect him to make the rotation up towards top. Sorry, I got really confused. Glorung just made a rotation through mid lane, took a shot, but he barreled away. I thought he was accidentally not realizing his mid fort still lived for a second there. He's got it figured out. We're back up on top. And Dragonite soon to be for the members of Roll20.
A little bit longer of a stop. Homicidal comes in,
It's just
denies once more.
It's just delaying till 13s.
It is.
There she be.
There she blows. A Dragonite in near 13. What does Roll20 get? They've already taken down the fort in the bottom.
Yeah, I was just interesting to see an 8-mana Dragonite concentrate towards a keep this early on. This, to me, feels like Roll20's angry, and they're just like, we're getting the series over as fast as possible from this point on. All right, other than showing strategies draft-wise, when it comes to actual performance, they're like, nah, we're done. We're better. We're willing to go. It's not that they can't get this keep. It's just unrealistic, and this is very much, to me, a better team calling out a team and saying, we're just going to outplay you. Let's make the risky call. Granted, they did that a few times at Sky Temple, and we realize what happened when that happens too many times for the members of Roll20.
Pulling a taunt. Gargantuan behind. Homicidal loses a little over half his health bar. Really about 3/4. Still the siege.
Glorg's losing his 1v1. He gusted the Dahaka, though, into the turrets, but he's getting bodied in this. He has a barrel in a few seconds.
Nice.
Sorry, I was just watching that 1v1
That's
in the
all
minimap.
right. We still got the keep. Spiders are there. Keep falls.
Goku should turn this. The cleanse is brilliant. Tormented Souls, and they go in. You know, I used the word they, but it was more just Tormented Souls was used.
Yep.
Justing's on full retreat
Twilight
still.
Dream, amazing from Even in Death.
No flank from the members of Even in Death from above. The hindering Moonfire from Battery. Hits 2 more. Can he get a root? No Loon's Grace. Maybe gonna bite him here, but they got the drag, the Lunar Flare, the flip over. 1 for 1.
But because of that first kill on Malthael, Even in Death gets ahead in that trade, and it was necessary. They lost their keep, and they are falling further behind in experience. So that helps them catch up a little bit to level 13, but they are in a same situation where Even in Death have been in every other game of this series. They get behind, they get some picks, and they need to get as aggressive as they can with those picks, trying to catch up in the game before it's too late.
Can you give me a sequence or just, I don't know, something that we can assume Even in Death might want to try and make happen to change it from the last games? Because I feel like the last one we talked about it, Roll20 took a lot of risks. Let's assume that those don't happen. Can you come up with an argument that Even in Death can turn this around other than hopefully getting a pick pre-16?
Well, Siege somewhere if they could, but the scary problem is sieging versus the Justin combos.
And
versus the Gust from Glaurung.
They see the Lunar Flare drop. Frozen X comes in with the Brush Talk. Members of Even in Death are still all alive.
So drag catches falls out. Nobody else is here to help Frozen X though. Oh man, he was so close to getting a Glaurung kill.
I do want to give credit to Frozen X. Falzad and Dahaka 1v1s are not ones we see too often. He seems to have a knack for finding Glaurung on his own.
And remember, Frozen X, this is not his normal hero. Granted, we have seen him play Dahaka before, but generally it has been Homicidal who plays that hero, plays that role, the side laning. So Frozen X is just incredibly flexible. He has been changing for a lot of different roles depending on what's needed for his team, and he's showing that he has some Dahaka prowess here.
Even in Death, need to show some Dragon Child prowess though. More than just the heroes, we got to get the maps. It seems like every game they're down 2 levels, 16 into 14. Every single time. So, is this game going to be any different? With the kill up on top, it feels like no. And there are no bosses for Roll20 to make that kind of high-risk call. We'll see if the members of Even in Death can stall out this Dragon Knight phase, but it looks like Roll20 is very concerned with it. Glaurung already posturing around mid. Bottom's going to be controlled. Who starts the channel?
All of Even in Death heading to the mid. They have Lutano in position to stall. But definitely the better stallers are going to be Tyrande and Battery. He doesn't have a Loon's Grace though. So that is a little bit scarier position.
Even if Lutano shows, he's got to die. Frozen X comes in with the Brush Talk. Isolation dropped all into Goku. They're going to focus him down. Gust is used. Tormented Souls. Miscommunication from the members of Roll20, but Battery, Frozen X, and their Anubarak are in a terrible spot. They got blown up.
They will have a fourth blown up. Even Lutano is still not out of the woods yet. There's no fort to retreat to. Goku just chasing him down. Reaper's Mark's still there, and he's got another Wraith Strike. Full 5-man team wipe.
Glaurung flew to the core. They don't even wait for the Dragon Knight. They're going to try and end this game.
Yep.
I don't honestly know if they can.
11 seconds. Look at the perfect synchronized 3 respawn timers from Even in Death just because of the Tormented Souls and all the way that they blew up. That's insane. They're going to do it 30% just before all 3 of them can pop back up, and even then, they weren't in position at all to stop this.
I'm just glad that you look towards the death timers and the synchronization of those, because when I too also see, if we ever go to our subreddit or anything else where you see the Wombo combo that you've never seen, right, and it's just brilliantly done. The way I gauge it, how effective is the Wombo is their death timers and how close they are. If it's always ticking together, you're like, perfectly done Wombo combo.
Oh yeah, they did. They were just like, I'm just going to sit here and all of these people with my Tormented Souls. It was disgusting.
It was Goku doing what he does best on that Tormented Soul to mouth ale. And now we find a situation where Even in Death, 1 game away from falling. They still got the silver lining of taking a game over Roll20, but unlike their counterparts within Crucible range, they aren't tied to overcome one of those teams. They have struggled too heavily throughout Phase 2 Part 2. So much so that they need wins not just within games. Yes, games are nice for a morale level and technically when it comes to standings, but the bigger things here are series wins, and it's not looking like Roll20 is going to give it over.
Dread, I want to take a look at that last team fight.
Okay.
That caused the beautifully synergized respawn timers. So we're going to take a look at that here. Why don't you break it down for us?
I mean, the biggest thing is the all-in onto Garrosh and the Gust to buy out the time. Immediately you see the rooted Goku and you think not a chance. But Justing hits a 2-man drag, forces Frozen X to respond, and then Goku's like, well, I'm going to do my thing. The weird part is that one of those 3 targets that died was Glaurung 1v1ing off on the side.
It's the perfect
so
time.
Glaurung actually, who did Glaurung kill? Because that was, I mean, it's near flawless. 1-0. Oh, we're trying to frame perfect this? Is my replay guy a legend? Oh, no. Okay, we're taking it back. We're deciding we're human today.
Even still, that makes it even better that they got the 2 with Tormented Souls and then perfect timing. It was meant to happen.
Glaurung did the caster math and it worked out.
The Nexus provides. Glaurung provides.
Yeah, Glaurung provides. Thank you very much, Glaurung, for the amazing games. It's hard to talk about. Even in Death, it's just, I want to see it, but I feel like it's not the day. It's not the day for them to overcome. The changes aren't there quite yet. Maybe a little less Tyrande, but that's just for my own, distaste for Tyrande.
Yeah, you gotta put an asterisk there. Dread opinion.
Dread.